family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I am Anthony Sie in yet another edition of the Hour of Politics. Welcome and a pleasant welcome to the broadcast. Focus on Liberia is where we try to educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. The Hour of Politics for interviews, analysis, and you name it. And also it's about the politics of the day, the politics of our time. And so today we are here to talk to you about some serious political matters happening in the homeland Liberia. We will do an analysis with the topic that we have for you. But before we go into that topic, we have few things to just lay on you so you can be in the know. And so, folks, welcome. As always, Anthony Sie is your host here at the Hour of Politics here at Focus on Liberia. Help us here by playing your part, by sharing the broadcast with your contact, somebody you know who is a friend, a brother, somebody in your network, because this discussion will be eye-opening. The country Liberia remains our focus. Many nations in the world are succeeding, are doing exceedingly well. The living conditions in some countries are better compared to Liberia. And it's one reason of all the reason that I think is key and profound for which other nations are doing better in their country, why Liberia struggles. And we must tackle this problem. We must do it with honesty. We must do it with sincerity. We must do it with the utmost sincerity that is needed to be brought to bed, so that those who rely on all of us to better their lives can no longer continue to languish in mystery, mayhem, and poverty, which has been the history of this nation for some time now. And so, without further ado, may I say to you today's topic: voter registration extended. Are free and fair elections possible in 2023? You are aware election is the process that decides who becomes president, senators, and representatives, those who are always charged with that duty and responsibilities to move a country in the right direction. This election scheduled for October 2023 possible? That is the profound question we must answer right now. But bear with me before I get to this topic. I will be very brief, concise, and up to the point. May I say to you also that we have a breaking news. And folks, that breaking news is the CPP We Are Tired Suffering Rally of December the 17th has been approved by the Ministry of Justice. As you can see, there is a communication right there on the screen from the Ministry of Justice approving the plan, the requested December 17 We Are Tired Suffering rally organized by the CPP and being chaired by Ambassador Louis Gessiter Brown. And by the way, Mr. Brown will be here Sunday on Focus on Liberia to talk about that. So folks, yes, that is the breaking news. The most talked about rally has been approved after back and forth with the Minister for Youth and Sports saying, well, an unauthorized staff member approved it. And so they were even trying to give back the money that was paid by the organizers of the protest back to them, which clearly suggested that they were not prepared to allow citizens of Liberia to use their own land to exercise their constitutional rights as guaranteed in our constitution, that the people at all times have the right to assemble and peacefully and to register their disagreement with those who govern them. It's obvious, or it was obvious, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, after issuing receipt more that, granting them, that space, decided to somersault, and the law actually was not on their side. The organizers did not also stop there. They went as far as reaching to the Ministry of Justice, and they did what is required by law, that the government be informed. The government should be informed that this is what we are doing, and we want to congratulate the Ministry of Justice under the leadership of Musa Dean, who though had no choice, but we know in Liberia people take matter into their own hands. We know in Liberia people's rights have been violated because of politics, and so what's his name, Minister Dean, Justice Minister Musa Dean, could have decided to not approve it and gave all of the reason, just as the Army Chief of Staff tried to do something similar and trying to discourage Liberians from exercising their right to assemble. So, be that as it may, we want to say thank you that the right thing was done. And when the right things are done, we should encourage, we should recognize that, and we should be able to commend those who do the right things, so that the culture of doing the right thing will be cultivated, will be promoted, and that it will become part of us. Because while we know for far too often and far too long now is the fact that the wrong things have always been justified by others, but are always been encouraged by others, thereby, bringing the nation Liberia to nothing but public disrepute and disgrace. And so, folks, that is the breaking news. The December 17 We Are Tired Suffering rally has been approved. And so now we say to Liberians, rally, peaceful assembly is guaranteed by our constitution. And citizens have a responsibility to exercise their right. It is the responsibility of the citizens to inform their elected officials about their dissatisfaction, their displeasure, and their dissent, especially when they are not being governed appropriately. When the government has become insensitive to their plights, no one is best suited to speak for that citizen, to advocate for that citizens, other than the citizens themselves. For the Constitution is so eloquent, and I'm not eloquent, the Constitution is eloquent, that all power is inherent in the people. And the people need to make those who they have elected to know that they are the bosses here. And when you are a supervisor, when you are a boss, you correct. That is why you do. This government of ours must be corrected for the wasteful spending, for the fact that nothing in Liberia works. And our main topic will be able to give you the facts concerning what I just said, that in Liberia, nothing or nearly everything actually does not work in our country to the satisfaction of our people. So folks, that is it. Liberians need to exercise that right, and it is the right of the organizers to organize their rally, and for Liberians to participate and let them do it. That is the right thing to do. Also, we want to, before we get to our major topic today, we want to say that another thing on our mind is the election of Jefferson Tamakoji, the current city mayor of the city of Monrovia, as the Secretary General for what they call the Mighty Congress for Democratic Change, that is the CDC. The CDC has elected a Koji as its Secretary General for a major political party. That is an inconvenient truth, though, folks, that it is a major political party in Liberia. And this major political party will go to elect a Jefferson Koji as its Secretary General. Of all of the things that we know about Jefferson, they have made a decision by electing Jefferson Koji as its Secretary General. The Secretary General of any political institution should be somebody who has an impressive ability not only to be able to read, but to be able to write and speak clearly, logically, and coherently. Somebody who is knowledgeable about the issues of governance, about the issue of politics. Somebody who has profound understanding of what politics means, what politics is, the consequences and benefits that come with politics. That is such person who should be elected as Secretary General of a political party. Does Jefferson speak well? In your opinion, is Jefferson qualified enough? Look, I said this much. Jefferson Koji is unfit. He is unsuited. He is toxic. He is unqualified. Jefferson is bad news. He is a disgraceful example when it comes to leadership in Liberia. This behavior by the CDC is an elevation of mediocrity, and that the CDC with this behavior has buried on the ground the merit standards or the merit system that we need to put into place for the young people of Liberia to follow and for the forward march of our country. Focus on Liberia just covered the press conference of the CDC. Jefferson Koji was the first to speak. Everything he said had no meaning. Everything he said was disjointed. Nothing was chronological. He sounded empty. He embarrassed his party. He embarrassed our country. He shamed all young people, and he should not be an example. How can CDC do this? Do our politicians understand that though the parties they belong to are their own parties, but do they understand that those parties are part and parcel of our democratic process? Do they not understand that? And that anything they do should set an example for others to follow, and that other nations are watching? I have listened to Jefferson so many times. This was the worst, the most disgraceful and disjointed statement to ever come from him. I'm terrible with English, but Jefferson Koji is the worst. How can these people do this? CDC has qualified people. Jefferson Koji is a city mayor, for Christ's sake. That job is too much for him. He can't even perform his duties as city mayor. And then you elected him as Secretary General of your party. Now he has two huge responsibilities on his hands during election time. Now Jefferson Koji has to decide which one he wants to do. How can Liberians continue to make these kind of decisions? How? What informs that decision? How does it even make any sense in any shape and form? This defies all reasonings. It defies all logic. And this is a disgrace. The CDC should be ashamed of itself for embarrassing itself, embarrassing us, the people of Liberia. It is a political party in Liberia that has a reflection on the country. For Christ's sake, let your leaders, even when they speak, let people see our nation and its people are decent, qualified people who value education, who value competence, who value merit system. But what they have done is a demonstration that we are a group of people who have no respect for education, who have no respect for quality, who have no respect for substance, and that we are a group of people who will rather settle for mediocrity, foolishness, and disgrace as the standard. This is beyond belief, folks. This is beyond belief. And I urge those of you listening to me now, go on Focus on Liberia Facebook page after this broadcast. Listen to Jefferson Koji speaking. And this guy is the Secretary General of a major political party in our country. You're talking about the ruling party for that matter. I cannot emphasize this much, but to close on this to say Jefferson Koji is unfit. His election is a disgrace to this country, to his party, and all young people in Liberia should be embarrassed that this bad standard has been set. I can't say anymore. And finally, before I get to my topic, and the analysis will be very brief because the subject is simple, but it is a monumental topic that I will be analyzing in the shortest possible time. Look, another thing on my mind here is VP Bouaka has no plan for Liberia as a presidential candidate. This is another example of how these people in the political space do not respect us as a people, do not respect our nation, and insult our intelligence almost every opportunity they get. And to you, Liberian people, it is about time you be your own advocate. You be your own voice. That you hold these people accountable because they are not thinking about you. It is about how they get a chance to enjoy the purse of government position. That is what it is. Joseph Yuman Bouaka, his party and himself and his surrogates have been running around this place talking about something called arrest. First, it was ATRS. It was art, sorry. Yes, ATRS, arts. Art was agriculture, was road, was tourism and sanitation. Then they swapped it to arrest. Now, arts was never written. It is not a written plan. It is not a written vision anywhere. I have asked every official of Unity Party that I could possibly get to. I have asked every surrogate of Joseph Bouaka that I could possibly get to send me a copy of arrest. Arrest died a natural death. We never saw a written copy of it. Now they are telling us about, arts died, it died a natural death. We never saw a written copy. Never. After I personally have requested it so many times, then came arrest. I have been asking. I asked yesterday. I asked day before yesterday. I asked last month. I asked the month before. They have not written it. They don't have a copy. And yet these people have the courage to come to media platform and explain that there is something called arrest, that there is a vision called arrest. That vision is imaginary, it's not documented, it's not written. Joseph Boakai himself cannot even explain what his arrest means or what it is. He does not know. He can't explain it. He can't relate to it because it is not written. And this man has been in government for so long, and he cannot answer the question why he's running for president with a plan. Maybe let us forget plan, with a vision. He can't. He's in Nigeria after flying a private jet like George Weah would do. Another bad example that he set, being very insensitive to the Liberian people's plight. Seditionists are justifying that President Weah flew a private jet to Morocco. That private jet was paid for by somebody else. Seditionists are justifying, well, even President Weah said when we saw the private jet for the first time, he said it was his friend and he has borrowed it to boost his morale. But since the president said he's been flying this very private jet, sedition to this day continue to justify it. Their government told us that they were bringing us Air Liberia. The wings, Lone Star Air rather, the wings of Liberia. They launched it, they gave her airplane cake. We have not seen an actual aircraft. That whole thing died a natural death. That's something they said was intended for Liberians to get air transportation at an affordable price. That has not happened, but President Weah enjoys a private jet to this day. Seditions are justifying that level of insensitivity. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf refused to fly private jet. John McAfee refused to fly private jet. The president of Ghana refused to fly private jets. And many other presidents in the world whose economy are far richer, bigger than ours. And yet, a pro-poor president, my fault, is flying a private jet. See, these things are justifying it. We have said this is an insensitivity behavior on the part of this man who represents the poorest, dying nation. A nation of hungry people, weary people, tired people. Seditionists are still justifying it. And Boakai follows this level of insensitivity, and his folks are justifying it. And yet, Boakai has no plan for Liberia. He's in Nigeria. He granted them an interview. We have requested many times we want to interview this man. His folks will not allow us. Because they know we are serious about this country. And we ask serious questions. How you run for president, you don't even have your vision written down. And because it's not written down, because it's imaginary, it's nowhere else, it has not been debated, it has not been discussed by the party. Each of them have their own explanation. Each of them has their own explanation. Again, each of them has their own explanation as to what arrest actually is. Ask George Lobo, his explanation will be different. Ask Mo Ali, his explanation. Anybody you ask, they will have different explanation. And one who have taught that since they made us to believe pretentiously that it was Boakai's idea and vision, the man Boakai himself will be able to explain it better. I listened very carefully, and Boakai didn't know what he was talking about. This is beyond belief. This is a demonstration on seriousness and not being prepared for leadership in our country. Boakai has no money. He knows not how to raise money. Boakai lacks the ability to plan before even talking about executing any political action. As we speak, he has no team. He has no team. We are 11 months to election. He has no team. He has no plan. And he thinks flying a private jet with a Uri what will convince Liberians. We need a leader who will bring a plan to us that they will govern on. That is what we need. No political action or event on his side in place. Now, that is not to say those who may be trying to do something, what they're doing is the silver bullet. But at least, at long last, after I personally have called on these people to take serious political actions, maybe they are beginning to listen. So now we have the December 17 rallies that's been approved. So at least the CPP on Cummings, they have something. They're trying to take some political action. Then we heard about President Weah, his own group that his group that does not care for our country. They just after worshiping a man and enjoying themselves and corrupting our country. They too say they have planned this 1 million men rally on December the 20th at ATS. And that is what is profound. So the CDC plan organized a rally at ATS. Can we see if they pay for ATS? Can we see the record? Can they display their receipt just as the very government issued receipt to the CPP? Can we see the CDC receipt that they pay for the ATS? Can we see that? How much money did they pay for breakage fee? They charge the CPP breakage fee. Can we see their breakage fee for the renter of the property? That property belongs to the people of Liberia. It is not for CDC. Can we see what they pay to the government of Liberia for that? No, they will not show to us because they are in government. They can just do anything they want to do. Folks, can you believe this? So the CDC too is having a rally for the re-election of President Weah. But before I could come live, I heard that, I don't know, they cancel it or something. So I hope they cancel it because you calling for 1 million men rally? 1 million people failed in that ATS in the first place. This is how deceptive they are. The people are suffering. They are hungry. There are so many things that are not in place in that country. The president runs away. He went to watch football. He was elected as standard bearer for his party in his absence in a secret manner. And now you're calling for a 1 million man rally. How can you be so this way? Do they really believe they can gather 1 million people at ATS? This was the very CDC. The last time it organized something, I think it was SKD, the whole place was virtually empty. The hunger has increased. The news of corruption has increased. Hopelessness in the country has increased. And you telling us you can put 1 million men at ATS. And that is supposed to be a serious action. And this is under the able leadership, so to speak, of a Jefferson Koji. Lord help us in our country. And then we also heard about a December 14 Tiawan's LPP rally at the legislature. The Liberian People Party that has been in political coma for the longest ever. I don't know whether they're trying to do something. We'll see. You know, they are far behind in the game. They look tired. They look weary. It's like they have given up. And they say, well, we just have to do something. Look, it is not about we just have to do something. You want to do something? Do it. Don't say, I just have to do something. This is what I see with a political party that is trying to resurrect, but does not even have the energy to resurrect in the first place. But I must maintain, though, that if anybody has a better candidate or an aspirant, it's the LPP. Tiawan, I will not hesitate to speak this so boldly. Tiawan is an excellent Liberian who have a deep sense of understanding of what the country is and the issues that are affecting our country. So one would think that the LPP will have more energy than anybody. The other political institutions that don't have anybody of credibility, somebody who have ideas, they don't have any person. At least they have energy. At least they have some energy. So let the CPP, the LPP wake up. You having a rally, you go into the legislature to tell those legislators what? What you think you're going to tell those legislators to do? Institution that I've been part of have gone to that legislature to ask for war crime code. They cannot even pass a legislation or a bill to create the war crime code. They can't do it. And you going to them to tell them what? About corruption? The LPP need to find something to do. Take your message to the Liberian people. The Liberian people put those guys at the legislature. They turn their back on their people. Now, you are going to people who don't have any interest in doing what is right for your country. Or just because you want to have a political action. I agree with the rally being organized by the CPP. They're taking their message to the people. The people are the ones who elected these people who are suffering them today. And LPP, your first political action is miscalculated. Where is Tier 1 in the room? Is he not aware of this? Why waste your time to go to those people? Why waste your time? So the CDC talking about a 1 million man rally. That's a political action, but I think it's dead upon arrival. We'll see. And the CPP, they're having retire rally. Then LPP now going to what? What send a petition to what legislators? Do you have legislators? You have legislators. That's who you have. You going to legislators to legislate what? To do what at this time? These guys are talking about election next year. They are trying now. How can they allot to themselves more money so that they can run their campaign? That's the people you go into. You think they're going to elect you when you want to come to power? You go to legislators? Seriously? Now, maybe you don't know. The legislators that you're looking at, they are predominantly Unity Party people. They will rather support Joseph Boakai, but they will be more so about their own personal interest because that is their expertise. So LPP need to realize, these people, do they not have ideas? The thing is that they have people. All these parties have good people, but they have cliques. They don't come together. They don't debate their ideas. They don't come up with the best ideas to put forth for the country. This is sickening. It is. I really don't know what's wrong with us. Can we not think before we act? Can we not debate before we act? Can we not brainstorm before we act? Can we not question our ideas before we act? Can we not? You come so, it's the same thing. You go on the other side, it's the same thing. But I have to leave it. But at least they are trying to do something. But they should be in the forefront because they have a better person who is their aspirant. Tier 1 is, and I will not hesitate. If any Liberian is an excellent and better person, I will say that. And that would be because of their history and their record. And their history, their record, things they've said also is in line with what they stand for and what they preach. Then I will make that determination, and Tier 1, though not perfect, is on that path. And so many Liberians should know that. But what will Liberian tell you? And say, well, we don't know the man. The man just coming. We go for popularity context, and that is what's suffering us in this country today. But folks, that said, I will take a short break and we'll come to the main topic of today's discussion. The topic is juicy. Folks, you don't want to miss this topic. This topic is about the country Liberia. That's why we have the nation's flag. This is the main topic for today's presentation. Folks, I'll tell you, you want to hear this. You want to really hear this topic. And once I return from this short and brief break, we'll be discussing voter registration extended, a free and fair election possible in 2023. I'm sure you want to know whether or not we'll have that elections. You want to know whether we'll have those elections, right? Stay tuned. We'll be right back to go into the analysis of the topic.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I am Anthony Sieh in this analytical edition of the Hour of Politics as we discuss and analyze the topic voter registration extended, are free and fair elections possible in 2023. The politicians always say the country Liberia is at a crossroad. That is the only thing I know they have been so consistent with in terms of truth telling. We are indeed at a crossroad. When we're talking about the transfer of power, the process that decides that is called election. It is a process. It is not a one-day event. Election requires planning. An election requires planning, training, finding the money to conduct the election. There are so many processes. There are so many activities that must be planned, time-bound, and executed accordingly for you to have what we call a free, fair, and transparent election, something we need in our country. For when you look at the history of this country, elections that were not transparent contributed to the chaos we experienced. The price was the heaviest of all. 250,000 of our fellow citizens died. Poor election rigging contributed to that civil war that we experienced. And as we speak today, we are still dealing with the ripple effect of that crisis that election contributed to. Zogos, by institution, a society that has no quality education. So election is not something to play with when you are practicing democracy. It is the fulcrum of democracy. Election. And we are joking with it in that country. Look, folks, let me give you a concise presentation here. For us to understand whether or not elections 2023 will be possible, we must understand, we must analyze, we must point to things that we needed to also execute, needed to be planned, needed to be time-bound, needed to be funded, and that we did not achieve. Let us look at that, shall we? Join me, let's go. One thing comes to mind. It's called census. Another thing comes to mind. It's called referendum. And election itself, folks. So let us do it. So we just heard about the census, right? The census was extended multiple times. And yet that census, the start of it was chaotic. The census was scheduled, constitutionally speaking, to have been held 2018. Liberia as a country did not plan it. Did not find the resources. Did not train the people. And so it has to be extended. The following year, 2019, it has to be extended for the same reasons. The following year, 2020, it has to be extended for the same reasons. The following year, 2021, it has to be extended for the very reasons. Funding, planning, training, and the ability to execute it. Full, solid, yes. our government, our country could not plan, find the money, train the people, get all other resources needed, put the people in the field, and conduct the census. So the census that should have been held in 2018 was not held till 2022 and at a chaotic level. So this election year is that one thing you can't extend it. You can't postpone a general and presidential election. Under no circumstance you can do that. Can you? When you do that, you don't have a government when you do that. No, you don't have a government. You will not have an elected government. So bear that in mind. So folks, talking about the census further, money was a major issue. Our government put in the budget, according to Larry Youngquest, who is the legislative focused person on Legis, the institution charged with the statutory responsibilities to conduct a housing and population census in Liberia. He's a trained demographer. He has worked with the United Nations in Liberia for census. He was on the census that was conducted in 2008, one that I participated in as an enumerator. He told that institution, Legis, he told that body called the legislature what needed to be done. Our lawmakers did not pay attention. Leaders at Legis did not pay attention. The president and government of Liberia did not pay attention. Folks, we had chaos on our hands despite all of the warnings and time that we have to plan, to find the resources and conduct the census. As we speak right now, they say the census is ongoing. People are not interested. The president is not in the country to be counted. This is a disaster that we have on our hands. Now, to add insult to injury, the little they've been raised, the little that donor countries or development partners have contributed, officials are alleges stealing the money. One allegation after the other, allegations and counter allegations. And because of all of that, they didn't even have all the money they needed to train census workers. They conducted a poor training when it even came to paying those people they trained and they expected, they recruited to conduct the census. They couldn't even pay them on time. They had to go and protest. The training they did was poor. The recruitment was marred by chaos. Some people's names appeared 2 times. Some people accused them of recruiting only seditions. Folks, are you listening to me? If you look at the volume of work that we needed to do as a country to conduct the census, if you compare it with the volume of work and planning and resources that we will need to conduct election, one might think that we might need to do more when it comes to conducting an election, because the peaceful transfer of power and the stability of the country depends on the conduct of the election. We didn't have the section in 2000, the census in 2018. Nothing happened to us as a country. We didn't go into flames. We didn't go into instability. Election is one thing. If we step away, we can get into chaos. We might have or experience a constitutional crisis in our country. Do we really want to go back to forming a so-called transitional government or interim government? Now we have to start fighting who's going to be interim president, how long they're going to be there for. Just as the interim government of Judy Bryan was corrupt, then we can have another corrupt one, folks. Are you following me here? It is obvious. The capacity, the ability, the planning, and the funding, and the seriousness that we need to plan an election and conduct it, these things are lacking. We saw that with the census, and I will say no more. More so, talking about census, enumerators were told they were going to use biometric system, and that they're supposed to bring in tablets to make the data collection much more scientific and accurate and faster. They never procure the total number of tablets they needed. Enumerators were not trained, and so it was another fiasco. And we were doing this biometric census thing for the first time in our country, and it failed miserably because of all of these problems that we experienced, despite the volume of time we have as a people in the country. 4 years. And yet, this was the colossal failure that we have to face. How much more when we have just maybe 1 or 2 years to conduct this election? I ask the question, are free, fair, and if I may add, transparent elections possible in 2023? Your answer must be good as mine. Folks, let us make progress. Remember what I said. First time biometric failure, money issue, lack of planning. Folks, this is unbelievable. So similarly, voter registration has been extended just as census was extended. Now, before we get to the voter registration, let me talk about the referendum. Folks, you all heard about the referendum. The referendum of 2020 was a failure of the first order. The government of Liberia did not plan well. The government of Liberia struggled to find the money. They have relied on people to give them money. We always begging our country for money. Things that we should be doing for ourselves, we're begging people. So they begged for money. They gave them some money. They poorly planned the referendum. No serious education was done when it came to the the referendum. So folks, I can say to you, there was practically zero voter education done for the referendum. So the referendum became a fiasco. The referendum failed miserably. And then, to make matters worse, the politics got into the referendum. The proposals for the referendums were good, very good, no debate. Now, they wanted the presidential term to be cut down to 4. If I'm not mistaken, it's a 4 or 5. They wanted the term for senators to come to 7 instead of 9 for senior senators, and they wanted the term for the representative to come to at least 5, because this was not planned properly, because politics got into it, because they didn't have the money, they didn't do the necessary voter education for Liberians to have voted on this referendum. Practically zero sensitization and education was done to inform the citizens of Liberia. All the proposals in the referendum failed in all of the counties, all of them. And that was not the first time that happened. I believe in 2007, there was another referendum done. The people rejected it, but then they brought in some technicality and allowed something else to pass. Folks, I'm telling you, we have a history of postponing anything, and yet it will be a failure. We have a history of not finding the necessary money, planning well, executing well, and as a result, we will always have a terrible outcome. All failures. In the case of the referendum was a failure. In the case of the census marked by chaos. And here we are today, fellow citizens of Liberia and friends of Liberia, if some are listening. we are talking about voter registration. Just one of the aspects of the upcoming election. It has been extended. It has been extended 11 months to the election. And you think your politicians are doing something about it, the so-called opposition politicians doing something serious about it? Cold water speeches, that's their expertise. So folks, I said this much. Just as it was the case with the census and the referendum, similarly, training for election workers is yet to be set into motion. In addition to extending the voter registration process. The voter roll is not clean. All the political actors have no singular agreement on what should be the voter roll. We don't know. According to Focus on Liberia, election and democracy analysts and experts here, there are two different kinds of voter roll. They have the manual and they have the electronic. Your politician that you are supporting, they have no ideas which is which, and they are sitting idly by. In addition to some of them not having a plan for our country, they are now holding the government feet to the fire. Now, similarly, folks, the biometric option that they say they are breaking for the first time in this upcoming election, that biometric process is already marked by confusion, politics, and back and forth from the contractors to the National Election Commission to PPCC, the U.S. Embassy involved. We don't know where we are. We don't know where we are. This is something we're trying to do for the first time. This will require the nation, Liberia, or the Election Commission procuring, maybe tablets or any electronic devices that will help with the process. We don't know where they are. All they're trying to do now is to first of all find the contractor that will provide this technology for us to do this. They disagree. They're going back and forth. Who should it be? Who it should not be? Before talking about training the people who will carry on the work. We are not there yet. In addition to their failure to have the voter registration, to start December 15. Folks, are you sure free and fair elections are possible in Liberia comes 2023? Similarly, folks, funding the election from the government of Liberia is at a slow pace. The government of Liberia is yet to make significant funding available to the National Election Commission. The same thing they did with the census. The same thing they did when it came to the referendum for which it failed. That is what this government is doing. This government would rather give the president millions of dollars to go watch football game than to fund an elections that our safety, our stability depends on as a country. This government would rather fund a president's trip. This government would rather gas the president's private jet than to pay civil servants or other employees or other agencies who are doing very good work for our country. So, folks, similarly again, the GOL is on a slow pace of funding the National Election Commission. Similarly so, the Election Commission officials are being accused of corruption. You don't know? They're being accused of corruption, and yet they are the one we're supposed to depend on. Latest officials were accused of corruption. We saw how the census ended, or is ongoing. So, folks, all of the things that made the census to be nothing but chaos, all of the things that made the referendum to become a fiasco, these are the very things that we see today right before our eyes for a national, general, and presidential elections. And these elections that are coming will be the most expensive election ever. This will be the biggest of all. If you look at the number of candidates that are running, we will experience that we have never had that number of candidates ever in our history. Almost everybody running to be senator and representative. So folks, the government is not up to the task now as we speak. That tells me that free, fair, and transparent elections in Liberia comes 2023. Your guess is as good as mine. If we look at all of the variables, if we look at all of the issues, the lack of voter registration in place, the failure that we don't have a clean voter roll, the fact that money is an issue, the fact that corruption is an issue, the fact that we're trying to use a biometric system for the first time in our national election, something we have not done before. We don't have the experience, we don't have the history. One would think that just as the biometric system failed Legis with the census, it's more than likely this must fail. Just as the census was a failure, the probability for us having a failed election is also likely. No one should discount that. The politicians put politics in that. It led to the failure of the census. Politics is also in the election. And elections is politics, by the way, folks. But we have to be able to separate the conduct of the election as a nation through the institution charged with that statutory responsibility. The government at least should be able to fund it. The government should be able to train the people. The people should be recruited on time. They should be trained. We should plan and we should be able to execute. We can separate that administrative aspect from the politics and secure, guarantee our transition as a country. But that is not it. That is not it. So folks, everything is in place for this election to become a failure. And in the case that happens, we will go back almost like maybe, when was the last time we have Judy Bryant so Judy Bryant transition government was 7 years, 11 years, 12 years, that's 14 years. So folks, plus we have 5 years, 14, so talk about 19 years. So we'll be retrogressing 19 years. Are you prepared for that, Liberians? That we retrogress 19 years. We take a huge leap backward. Is that what we need? We don't need that. And so, how do we avoid that right now? That depends on you who listening. I'm not sure it depends on your leaders. I'm not sure. Because your leaders, they don't have that leadership in them. And that is sad. In their own political parties, they don't have plans. Some of them, they don't have strategies. Some of them don't even have teams. All they do is just run around. One meeting they say something, another meeting they say another thing. And the only thing they are good at is the government is bad. Yes, the government is bad. It's the worst government I ever seen in my entire lifetime. It's worse. We don't need you to tell us. Tell us what you will do differently. They don't have the ability to tell you what they will do differently. If they have that ability, we'll see it through their plans. We'll see it through their articulation. We'll see it through their political action. We'll see it through their engagement. We'll see it through their engagements. But no, they don't have it. All they are asking for, where is bad, elect me, I will do better. We are said the same thing that Ellen bad, put me there, I will do this, I will do better. Here is where he's doing worst. Ellen said the city, Judy Bryant bad, this, that, put me there, I will do something. Judy Bryant was corrupt, put me there, I will fight corruption. She came and she said corruption was a vampire. Even though she had earlier said corruption was enemy number one. And then she admitted she did not win the war. So folks, we have no guarantee whatsoever that these people going to lead our country better when they don't have plan as to how they will do it. So on the question, whether or not free, fair, and transparent elections are possible in Liberia, there is absolutely nothing. There is absolutely nothing. No indicator, not a single indicator that can tell you that elections in Liberia will be free, fair, and transparent, and that they will even be conducted and on time. Nothing that you can point to. All that we can point to, all that we see are things that suggest that it is likely as well that these elections might not be free and fair if they will be conducted, or that they might not happen as planned or as called for by the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia. Folks, I want to say thank you, and thank you so very much for staying with me throughout this 1 hour presentation. I hope I was able to do justice to the topic. I hope my analysis was sensible and that they were not, out of order, as Jefferson Koji will speak disjointedly, and that he's not coherent. And this is a guy to make a Secretary General of a major political party in Liberia. I will take a short break and I will read your comments. And after your comments, I will be giving my closing. And that closing, I can guarantee you, you will like it. A short break and we will be right back. Folks, let us leave it there. Beautiful traditional global music from the southeast. This is done in global. I can't interpret that for you because of time, but I see beautiful comments here. Let me do justice to all of you here and read the comments quickly. Let's hear from the man Evis Morris. It's been a while, Mr. C. Good to see you, Evis. It's been a while too. You sure? I think I've been around. Louis Brown, another sycophant in the ANC parading as a saint. This person right. John J. Bape should be the superintendent of Grand Bassa County. He's somebody I know. You are daydreaming of your hate against this young man, and no one going to take you serious. Well, you are the only one who might not take me serious because you don't understand. The way Jefferson speaks is not hate. Whatever I do that is not right, I expect everybody to criticize me. John J. Bape talking about hate. Jesus Christ. Let's read this one. This writer said, Louis Brown is an ill-fitted sycophantic character who's parading as a saint. Let's read this one from Demo. Liberia is an embarrassment. Liberia men are evil, uneducated, and savages. They bring shame to Africa. Can't do anything without the white from America. You are like the white man's slave. There is some kind of truth, and I may agree with all of that, but it is a slippery slope there. Like you have from Mariah Seaton here, talking to this person, Jeff Koji, stop embarrassing your party and the youngsters of the Republic. Yes, that is what he is doing, and I can't stomach it, and I will say it profoundly and with force any day. It is about country here. Koji has an impeccable character. The masses' decision must be duly respected in the CDC. The seditionists will disagree with that guy. Sedition disagree with him, by the way. I talked to sedition, and then you have from this. You are saying the truth, brother. Yep, that is Tony. Tony is saying, I am saying the truth. Like yeah, from Call Family, yeah, focus on Liberia, presenter of the History Channel here. I had to turn it off. In all honesty, I think he has a learning disability coupled with a speech impairment. He needed someone to send him to a school where there are specialists that can assist him with his challenges. He really wants to be a leader, but he can't accomplish much without intervention, and I couldn't agree more. The English language is difficult for me as a person, but I'm sure many Liberians would take me over Jefferson Koji disgraced that he's offering our country. Richard Hammer, I'm watching from Philadelphia. Let's hear from Say Ali here. Focus on Liberia TV 2022. We voting for ACOR for the betterment of Mama Liberia. So those madness, criminality, nonsense will end. You think ACOR has it? We will see. No more CPP or CDC now. It's ACOR forever and ever. A person is saying their own. Liberia does not belong to CDC. Okay, go and sleep. Yep, maybe someone needs to go and sleep. Let's read more comments yet. Oh, dear sister yet. Beverly Pajibo, Ure and Costa are his plans for Liberia. She writes. Let's hear from Kofi. Absolutely correct. Bring us a plan, not hope. We need plan. These people must give us, let's hear from Mr. Jerome Gibman. He's the host of Focus on Liberia program on point, but he is a sedition correction. CDC rally is in February. Mr. Gibman, I am on point. This is what I do. The rally was scheduled for December the 20th. They just extended it today, so I am on point here. So I don't know what correction you are making. Let's hear from Beverly again. They didn't even have 1 million votes, but talking Tabata. That is correct. CDC could not even get 1 million votes. Even in the first election of 2005, and you say you bring 1 million people outside. What a shame. Let's hear from Mr. Gaiman here. 1 million people are nationwide. We will come out in our numbers nationwide. 1 million strong. CDC Munya. He's a sedition and he is doing his thing. Let's hear from Johnson here. Let us wait and see. May God bless Mama Liberia. God will bless Liberia through his people. Let the people wake up, because the last time I checked, it say the good boy said, what is this code again? Dennis, where are you? You need to help me here. For the lack of what? The people perish for the lack of vision, right? Something like that. So, sorry, folks. I'm not a Bible guy. I'm a traditional guy. Justina again, but he broke two like Joseph Barker. I don't know what you're talking about here. Let's go to the man Prince, who supports Mr. Cummings. Anthony CPP is going directly to the people, rally the people for civil action at the ballot box. If you are calling me Anthony, then you should correct yourself. I'm not Anthony. I hate when people miss my name. My name is so dear to me. I'm Anthony. Call here again. Yes, we must accept the truth and help people overcome their challenges instead of pretending everything is okay. Call, you are point on that is what I do here. I know I am not strong in so many ways. I'm weak. I'm a flawed human being, and so I don't pretend to be strong, but I hold my ground. That's what I do, and I expect people to correct me. Moses saying hello. Moses says something. This is not hello business here. Let's hear from Swab Mapu. Like you, I couldn't continue to listen. His nonsense was so annoying, and nothing or most of what he was saying to me made no sense because they were inflated with lies. I may understand if the truth were being exaggerated, but lies being exaggerated are completely worst. Yeah, I can't understand. I hear from Tannen here, Tannen Cooper. That's a very serious situation we find ourselves in. She writes, let's hear from, we need a 4-year term for the presidency. 6 years is too long. Use the word freaking long for those criminals to be in power. Let's hear from Coy again. Since when did advocating for people with challenges become hate? That's the thing, my friend John J. Bapper. This is a guy who knows me very well. He knows me very well. He calls me diplomatic politicians, but he's surprised that I'm not diplomatic anymore. The suffering of the Liberian people, there's nothing diplomatic about it. Even the diplomats in Liberia are not diplomatic. They are telling the Liberian people, seize the moment, and politicians are acting like jokers. All right. Let's hear from the man Prince again, who is calling me Anthony. Breaking news: Yuri body Victor, the Russian notorious arms dealer, has been released. We heard that, and Focus on Liberia is doing a show specifically on that. Mansa Washington, former TRC commissioner, and a professional journalist will be here with my man Dennis Jah to talk about that. Breaking news: the old man running people's stomach. Is that a breaking news? Well, folks, we have to bring the broadcast to an end. I just thought to read some of your comments so that you too can be part of the discussion here. But let us share with you here quickly what we got coming. Focus on Liberia. We have a debate that is coming Saturday, tomorrow, the 10th of October at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 5 p.m. GMT. We have a gentleman, Ishaka Seri of the CDC, and George Preston Lobo, the tough-talking George Lobo, will be here. They will be debating the Bwaka Wia record and vision for Liberia. And also today, here at Focus on Liberia is our Friday night debate. They will be debating current issues. For current issue debate, AFL Chief of Staff, revelation about a coup, Cummings and the global people and politics. VP Joseph Yuman Bwaka Flash Private Jet, Louis Brown, and the We Are Tired Suffering rally that just got approved today at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You don't want to miss the current issues debate here at Focus on Liberia. Also, Ambassador Louis Brown will be sitting with me as my partner Dennis Jah Sunday the 11th, and this broadcast will be happening at 9 a.m. Central Time. You don't want to miss it, and which is 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. GMT. Ambassador Brown, the tough-talking Louis Brown, who many have raised accusing fingers at, will be here, and my questions will not be for joke. We will hold him accountable. Also, our program, A New Day, where Priscilla Yinanto comes on this Sunday, and they'll be talking about women in politics. Politician Madame Mandela Cooper will be her guest. And finally, folks, I must announce to you, we had a guy who is a Russian who sold guns to Liberian rebel leaders through allegedly Benin Yure. That Victor guy, that Russian, has been released by the U.S. government. The guns that this guy sold to the warmongers led to the death of so many Liberians, and this guy has been freed by the U.S. government in a prisoner swap. So that man is cut loose. Master Washington will be here, and we will be talking about the role this guy played by selling guns allegedly through Benin Yure, who rose with Bwaka today, what impact it has had on us as a country. You do not want to miss that. Master Washington is former TRC commissioner, and she will be sitting with my man Dennis Jah. You do not want to miss the very informative discussion. And now my closing, folks. My closing, and folks, my closing here. Very quick.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
So, folks, this is how I will close today's edition of the Hour of Politics here at this network, Focus on Liberia. The elections that are scheduled for October 2023 must go on. Any effort, any failure on our part as a people in the country have the propensity to take us some 19 years behind, and we can't afford another transitional government that will be corrupt as this government and maybe worse. We cannot afford it as a people. And so all of our leaders will wake up every day doing whatever they can to ensure that these elections are planned well and executed in a timely manner so that we can have a peaceful transfer of power. We know everything points in the wrong direction. Everything points in the wrong direction when it comes to, these elections that we are expecting. Money is a problem. This government cannot raise the money and fund the National Election Commission. The National Election Commission is incompetent as an institution to hold these elections because the leaders there, not only are they corrupt, but they are partisans and they don't care about doing the right thing more so than to think about they doing something that will be able to save our democracy. I don't think they are up to the task, but they must get to it. We demand from them in no time a timetable that will also include diaspora Liberians to register and vote wherever they are. Our constitution is clear that we as citizens, Guinea citizens can vote in Liberia, Liberian citizens in America and other countries should be able to vote in those countries. We must be factored in to the registration process. And Liberian leaders around the world need to pay attention to this. They need to pay attention to this. As a media institution, it is our job to provide the education. If you are a Liberian in America, it is your right to register here and vote here. Guineans register in Liberia and vote there. American citizens across the world, not in America, in other countries, they register there and they vote there. Liberia cannot be an exception when our constitution provides that right to all of us as citizens. But as a country and people, we have violated this right for so long. We should not accept it now. We too are Liberians. We too have that right as citizens to register and vote. We cannot afford to let it slide again. They are talking about biometrics. They should get it right. They should train the people properly and on time. They should clean the voter roll. We must have these elections. We must have a peaceful transfer of power. We must and we cannot afford to let that slide. No, we can't. That would be dangerous for our democracy. We don't have a responsible government. We need responsible opposition that is prepared to take over and lead our country. Do we have responsible opposition who are serious about their responsibilities? I've not seen a responsible opposition yet. I have not seen a serious opposition yet. Somebody might think they have a little bit of time for them to get it right. Let them do it now, for time waits for no man. But I will conclude to say, folks, all of the indicators for a failed election that will not be free, fair, and transparent, the indicators are all over the place. We must all pay attention to this now. This should be the number one thing that concerns all of us as a people every day, because we cannot afford to have election bring chaos to our doorsteps. We have had enough chaos. We have had enough instability. We do not need a constitutional crisis on our hands, because all our institutions are challenged and replete with individuals who have no character. So we cannot bring crisis on our hands because we don't have crisis managers. We don't have leaders who will stand when we have crisis on our hands to avert those crises, to manage them so that our country can continue to enjoy the peace. Our peace now hinges on these elections that are coming. To let these elections be conducted without any check and balances from us, the public, from us, the media, from politicians, is more like trying to give Liberia another slip to give Liberia another ticket to instability, to chaos, and a constitutional crisis. We should not and never take it. Thank you for watching. We will bring you the song that closes every broadcast here. And that song is We Are All Liberians. And that is why we must do whatever it takes to protect this nation and not leave it with sycophants, unfit, unqualified, bad news people. We cannot do that. We must all play our part. Enjoy the song. We Are All Liberians, and bye-bye.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. United are we one. Liberia, oh. United are we one. Liberia. Oh, Liberia, oh.